October 28th, 2022. A sunny Friday afternoon in Charlotte, North Carolina. 7 young people board a flight to paradise. Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. White sand beaches, crystal blue water, a luxury villa, a birthday celebration. 25-year-old ShanquellaRobinson was excited. She was a successful entrepreneur, a talented hairstylist, a beloved daughter. She thought she was going on vacation with friends, people she trusted, people she called family. Less than 24 hours later, Shanquella would be dead. Her mother received a phone call. She had too much to drink, they said. We're so sorry. She's gone. But that was a lie, a calculated, cruel lie. The autopsy revealed the horrifying truth. Shanquella didn't die from alcohol. Her neck was broken. Her spine was shattered. Cause of death: severe spinal cord injury and atlas luxation. And then a video surfaced, a video that would shock the entire world. A video showing exactly what happened in that luxury villa. A video of ShanquellaRobinson, naked and defenseless, being brutally beaten by someone she called a friend. While others watched, while others filmed, while others cheered. 3 years later, no arrests, no justice, no accountability. This is the story of ShanquellaRobinson, a young woman whose dream vacation became a nightmare. A case that exposed the darkest sides of friendship, betrayal, and a broken justice system. A murder that remains unsolved. This is her story. To understand what happened in Cabo, we need to understand who ShanquellaRobinson was. Because she wasn't just a victim. She was a daughter, a businesswoman, a creator, a light in her community. ShanquellaRobinson was born on January 9th, 1997, in Charlotte, North Carolina. She grew up in a loving, close-knit family. Her mother, Salamandra Robinson, and her father, Bernard Robinson, raised her with strong values and big dreams. She had at least one sibling, her sister Quilla Long. Shanquella attended West Charlotte High School, where everyone knew her smile. Friends and teachers describe her as someone who could light up any room she entered. She was kind, genuine, ambitious, full of life. After graduating high school in 2015, Shanquella enrolled at Winston-Salem State University, a historically black college in North Carolina. She studied business, building the foundation for what would become a thriving entrepreneurial career. She graduated in the summer of 2018, ready to chase her dreams. And chase them, she did. Shanquella was an entrepreneur at heart. She founded not one, but 2 successful businesses. The first was called Exquisite Kids and Company, a children's hair salon specializing in braiding. Shanquella had a gift. She could make young girls feel beautiful and confident. She would braid their hair with care and precision, transforming them into little princesses. In the West Charlotte community, she became known as the person who could make any child's hair dreams come true. Parents trusted her. Children adored her. Her second business was the Exquisite Boutique, an online women's clothing store. She sold stylish, high-quality fashion to women who wanted to look and feel their best. Both businesses were thriving. Shanquella was building something real, something meaningful. She was active on social media, with over 46,000 followers on Instagram. She shared her work, her travels, glimpses of her life. She modeled. She traveled to Miami, Las Vegas, Jamaica. Her posts radiated joy and confidence. She was living her best life. But behind the glamorous photos and successful businesses was a young woman who valued friendship and community above everything else. Shanquella had a close circle of friends. Some she had known since childhood, others she met in college. She trusted them. She considered them family. And that trust would cost her everything. In October 2022, one of those friends, a woman named Johnny Jackson, invited Shanquella on a trip to Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. It was supposed to be a birthday celebration, a chance to relax, have fun, make memories with people she cared about. Shanquella was thrilled. She told her mother about the trip. She packed her bags with excitement. She said goodbye to her family, not knowing it would be the last time they would ever see her alive. On October 28th, 2022, ShanquellaRobinson boarded a flight to Mexico with 6 people she called friends. Their names were Khalil Cook, Malik Dyer, Winta Donovan, Alice Hyatt, Johnny Jackson, and Nazir Wiggins. Together, they would become known as the Cabo Six. And within 24 hours, one of them would be dead, murdered by the very people she trusted most. Cabo San Lucas is a paradise. Located on the southern tip of Mexico's Baja California peninsula, it's a world-famous resort town. Pristine beaches, luxury resorts, vibrant nightlife. Every year, millions of tourists flock there to escape reality and soak in the sun, sea, and sand. For Shanquella and her so-called friends, Cabo was supposed to be the perfect getaway. They rented Villa Linda 32, a stunning luxury property in the Puerto Los Cabos resort area. The villa was everything you could want. Spacious bedrooms, a sparkling pool, high-end amenities, the kind of place you see in magazines. That first evening, Friday, October 28th, everything seemed normal. Shanquella posted videos on social media. She was smiling, laughing, excited about the weekend ahead. She even called her mother that night. "Mom, we're having such a good time," she said. "We're staying in tonight. They hired a private chef. We're having tacos and salad. It's amazing." Salamandra felt relieved hearing her daughter so happy. The group had decided to stay in the villa that first night instead of going out. A private chef was preparing dinner for them. Everything seemed safe. Everything seemed fine. But it wasn't. Because behind those smiles, behind those videos, something dark was brewing. Tensions were rising. And what happened next would change everything. The exact timeline of what happened on October 29th, 2022 is still unclear. But we know this. At some point during the afternoon, Shanquella's condition began to deteriorate rapidly. At approximately 2:13 p.m., someone from the group called for a doctor. They told the American Medical Center that Shanquella was having health issues, that she wasn't feeling well, that she needed help. At almost the exact same time, ShanquellaRobinson received a phone call from one of the friends. They said Shanquella had fallen ill, that a doctor was on the way, that she had been drinking too much alcohol. Salamandra's heart dropped. Her daughter didn't drink excessively. Something felt wrong, but she trusted these friends to take care of her baby girl. She waited anxiously for updates. About an hour later, Dr. Carolina Beatriz Ornelas Gutierrez arrived at Villa Linda 32. When she entered, she found Shanquella in a deeply disturbing condition. Shanquella was stable, but dehydrated, disoriented, verbally unresponsive, unable to communicate. She appeared to be intoxicated, but something about the scene didn't add up. The friends told the doctor the same story. Shanquella had drunk too much alcohol. She just needed an IV to rehydrate. They insisted she could be treated right there in the villa. Dr. Gutierrez immediately recommended that Shanquella be taken to a hospital. This was serious. This young woman needed proper medical care. But the friends refused. They insisted Shanquella stay at the villa. Why? What were they hiding? The doctor had no choice. She attempted to administer an IV drip to rehydrate Shanquella. But then, at approximately 4:13 p.m., about 1 hour after the doctor arrived, something horrifying happened. Shanquella suffered a tonic-clonic seizure. Her entire body stiffened. Her arms and legs locked up. She was in severe distress. This was a medical emergency. The doctor immediately called for an ambulance. Paramedics arrived at 4:49 p.m. They found Shanquella unresponsive, not breathing, no pulse. They began CPR immediately. 14 rounds of chest compressions, 5 doses of adrenaline, 6 electrical shocks from a defibrillator. They tried everything humanly possible to bring her back. But it was too late. At 5:57 p.m. on October 29th, 2022, ShanquellaRobinson was declared dead. She had been in Mexico for less than 24 hours. 25 years old, full of life, full of dreams. Gone. Her so-called friends called her mother with the devastating news. She drank too much, they said. Her body just couldn't handle it. We're so sorry. But that was a lie, and the autopsy would prove it. On October 30th, 2022, just one day after Shanquella's death, a Mexican medical examiner performed an autopsy on her body. The results were shocking. Cause of death: severe spinal cord injury and atlas luxation. Atlas luxation is a catastrophic neck injury. It's the dislocation or separation of the first vertebra, called the atlas bone, from the base of the skull. It's the kind of injury that occurs when someone's head is violently yanked or twisted away from their neck. The kind of injury that doesn't happen from drinking too much alcohol. Shanquella's neck was broken. Her spine was cracked. According to the autopsy, she died within 15 minutes of sustaining these injuries. When ShanquellaRobinson received the autopsy report, she was devastated and furious. When the autopsy came back, they said it didn't have anything to do with alcohol, Shanquella told reporters through tears. They said that she had a broken neck and her spine in the back was cracked. She had been beaten. When Shanquella's body was finally returned to the United States on November 12th, Shanquella saw the extent of her daughter's injuries with her own eyes. Shanquella's face was bruised. Her eye was swollen. Her lip was busted. There was swelling and a contusion on her head. These were not the injuries of someone who drank too much. These were the injuries of someone who had been brutally attacked. And then, on November 15th, 2022, a video surfaced online. A video that would change everything. The video was posted by a blogger in North Carolina named Gerald Jackson. It allegedly showed the moments before Shanquella's death, and what it revealed was absolutely horrifying. In the video, ShanquellaRobinson is seen completely naked in a bedroom at the villa. She's standing near a wall, looking confused and vulnerable. And then, another woman enters the frame. A woman who is supposed to be her friend. The woman begins attacking Shanquella. Violently, relentlessly. She punches Shanquella in the face, in the head, over and over again. Shanquella doesn't fight back. She doesn't defend herself. She just stands there, taking the blows. Then the woman grabs Shanquella by the hair and slams her head into the ground. Hard. The sound is sickening. Shanquella's body goes limp. And in the background, you can hear voices. Male voices. Watching. Filming. One voice says, "Quilla, can you at least fight back?" They were watching their friend get beaten to death. And they did nothing. They filmed it. They laughed. They told her to fight back, as if this was some kind of entertainment. The video went viral within hours. Millions of people saw it, and the world was outraged. Mexican authorities later identified the attacker in the video as Johnny Jackson, one of the 6 friends who traveled with Shanquella to Cabo. But the question remained, why? Why did this happen? And why did no one stop it? As the video spread across social media, the pressure on authorities intensified. The hashtag Justice for Shanquella began trending on Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. Millions of people demanded answers, demanded justice. On November 18th, 2022, the FBI confirmed they were investigating Shanquella's death. The case had become international news. Mexican authorities launched their own investigation. And on November 24th, 2022, the State Attorney General's Office of Baja California Sur made a shocking announcement. They were investigating ShanquellaRobinson's death as femicide. Femicide is the gender-based murder of a woman or girl by a man. But in this case, Mexican authorities were using the term to describe the deliberate killing of Shanquella by another woman. The lead prosecutor, Daniel de la Rosa Anaya, held a press conference. He clarified that Shanquella's death was not due to alcohol intake or injuries sustained in a fight. It was from a direct assault causing a spinal cord fracture. And then he dropped a bombshell. An arrest warrant had been issued for one of Shanquella's travel companions. Although he didn't name the suspect publicly at first, it was later revealed to be Johnny Jackson. Mexican authorities stated they were working with U.S. officials to issue an Interpol red alert to locate the suspect in the United States and begin formal extradition proceedings to bring her back to Mexico to face charges. But there was a problem. The United States government refused to cooperate, despite the arrest warrant, despite the video evidence, despite the autopsy, despite everything. Johnny Jackson was never extradited to Mexico. She was never arrested. She walked free. And the Cabo Six? They all returned to the United States. They deleted their social media accounts. They changed their phone numbers. They lawyered up, and they stayed silent. Shanquella's family was devastated. They couldn't understand how this could happen. How could someone murder their daughter on video and face no consequences? ShanquellaRobinson's funeral was held on November 19, 2022, at the Macedonia Baptist Church in Charlotte, North Carolina. Hundreds of community members attended. Everyone wore pink in her honor. Her casket, wrapped with photos of her smiling face, was pulled into the church by a horse-drawn carriage. Loved ones signed the casket before she was laid to rest. Her father, Bernard Robinson, spoke through tears. "She was so full of life," he said. "I just want to know why. Why did they do this to my baby?" But answers were hard to come by. Shanquella's family hired prominent civil rights attorney Ben Crump, known for representing the families of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and Trayvon Martin. Alongside him was attorney Sue Ann Robinson, who is not related to Shanquella's family. Together, they began fighting for justice. They wrote letters to President Joe Biden, to Secretary of State Antony Blinken, to anyone who would listen. In our letter to President Biden and Secretary Blinken, we clearly stated that one of two things needs to happen, Crump said at a press conference. Either the U.S. extradites Shanquella's killer to Mexico, or the U.S. takes jurisdiction of the case, and her killer is prosecuted here. Inaction is not acceptable. Shanquella's family deserves swift justice for her death. The White House remained silent for months. Finally, on March 16, 2023, White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre addressed the case publicly for the first time. "Let me just first say, our hearts go out to Miss Robinson's family and friends," she said. "It is devastating what occurred. But beyond that, nothing. No action, no extradition, no justice." And then, on April 12, 2023, the bombshell that crushed Shanquella's family. The U.S. Attorney's Office announced that federal prosecutors would not be filing any charges in Shanquella Robinson's death. They claimed there was insufficient evidence to support a federal prosecution. Based on the results of the autopsy and after careful deliberation and review of the investigative materials, federal prosecutors informed Ms. Robinson's family today that the available evidence does not support a federal prosecution. The statement read. The family was shocked. Heartbroken. How could there be insufficient evidence when there was literal video footage of the attack? Attorney Sue Ann Robinson revealed that the U.S. had conducted its own autopsy after Shanquella's body was returned to North Carolina. But by that time, her body had been embalmed, which can complicate autopsy findings. The U.S. autopsy found no spinal cord injury, but did find brain swelling. The cause of death was listed as undetermined. This directly contradicted the Mexican autopsy, which clearly stated Shanquella died from a broken neck and spinal cord injury. If this had been taken seriously from the beginning, there would not have been a delay of justice, Sue Ann Robinson said. There is absolutely no urgency on the part of U.S. authorities. They waited 5 months to investigate. By then, evidence could have been deleted, text messages erased, stories coordinated. She accused the FBI and the State Department of playing ping pong with responsibility. Mexico says it's a U.S. issue. The U.S. says it's a Mexican issue. And in the middle of this bureaucratic nightmare, Shanquella's family suffers. "We're disappointed, but we're not deterred," Sue Ann Robinson said. Black and brown people always have to carve their own path to justice. And that's exactly what we're going to do. With criminal charges off the table, Shanquella's family turned to civil court. In October 2024, 2 years after Shanquella's death, her mother Salamandra Robinson filed a wrongful death lawsuit against all 6 members of the Cabo Six. The lawsuit seeks damages for wrongful death, battery, negligence, conspiracy, and emotional distress. The lawsuit alleges that Johnny Jackson physically attacked Shanquella while the others either participated, encouraged, or stood by and did nothing. It claims they all conspired to cover up what really happened by lying to Shanquella's family and authorities about the cause of death. 4 of the defendants, Alice Hyatt, Winter Donovan, Malik Dyer, and Khalil Cook, have filed motions to dismiss the lawsuit. They argue the case should be tried in Mexico, not North Carolina, since that's where the incident occurred. Johnny Jackson, the woman identified as Shanquella's attacker, changed her legal name to Imani Green. She has also responded to the lawsuit, requesting more time to file her official response. The family also filed a separate $100 million lawsuit against the U.S. Department of State and the FBI, alleging negligence in the handling of the investigation and failure to return Shanquella's personal belongings. However, both the FBI and State Department filed motions to dismiss, arguing they lack jurisdiction over the claims. As of today, the legal battles continue, but no one has been arrested. No one has been charged. No one has faced any real consequences for ShanquellaRobinson's death. 3 years have passed since Shanquella Robinson died in that villa in Cabo, and still, so many questions remain unanswered. What really happened that night? Why did Johnny Jackson attack Shanquella? Was it a fight that got out of hand? Or was it something more sinister, more planned? Why did the other 5 people in that villa do nothing to stop it? Why did they film it? Why did they encourage it? And most importantly, why did they all lie? Why did they tell Shanquella's mother that her daughter died from alcohol poisoning when they knew the truth? According to newly released FBI documents from March 2025, witnesses reported that Shanquella's body showed signs she had been stomped on. The level of violence was extreme. This wasn't just a fight. This was a brutal, sustained attack. But despite all the evidence, the video footage, the autopsy reports, the witness statements, no one has been held accountable. Mexican authorities issued an arrest warrant for Johnny Jackson on femicide charges. But the U.S. State Department reportedly never forwarded the extradition request to the International Affairs Office. So Jackson was never extradited. She remains free, living her life in the United States. Former FBI Criminal Investigative Division Director Chris Wecker has said it's extremely rare for the U.S. to extradite a citizen to another country, especially if there are concerns about the foreign government's legal system. He believes the case will likely never result in extradition, even with a valid arrest warrant. So Shanquella's family is left with nothing. No arrests, no trial, no justice, just grief, anger, and a system that failed them at every turn. Shanquella Robinson would have turned 28 years old this year. She should be running her businesses, braiding children's hair, traveling the world, living her dreams. Instead, she's gone, taken from this world by people she trusted, people she called friends. Her mother, Salamandra, and her father, Bernard, wake up every day with the same pain, the same question: why? My daughter was so full of life, Salamandra said in a recent interview. She had so much ahead of her, and they took that away. And nobody cares. Nobody is doing anything. The case of Shanquella Robinson has become a rallying cry for justice reform. It's exposed the failures of international law enforcement cooperation. It's highlighted how victims of color are often ignored or deprioritized by the justice system. Social media played a crucial role in bringing attention to Shanquella's case. Without citizen journalists, bloggers, and everyday people demanding answers, this case might have been swept under the rug entirely. The hashtag Justice for Shanquella has been used millions of times. It's kept her story alive. But hashtags don't bring justice. Viral videos don't bring closure. And for Shanquella's family, that's the hardest part. They know who killed their daughter. The whole world knows. We've all seen the video. We've all read the autopsy reports. We all know the truth. But truth and justice are not the same thing. As of today, January 2026, Shanquella Robinson's case remains unsolved. No arrests, no charges, no convictions, just a family left behind, fighting for a justice that may never come. But they will not stop fighting. They will not let her story be forgotten. They will not let her death be in vain. Because Shanquella Robinson was more than a hashtag, more than a viral video, more than a case file. She was a daughter, a sister, a businesswoman, a friend, a light in this world. And she deserves justice. We all deserve justice. The fight continues, and we must continue with it. Rest in power, Shanquella Robinson. January 9th, 1997 to October 29th, 2022. Gone but never forgotten.